Hey everyone, Lee with LG Speed and Custom here, and in this video we're working on my Model A Roadster. The old-time drags at Mission Raceway are coming up. In fact, at the time of filming this, they are next weekend. So, for the regulars on this channel, you know we've raced at the old-time drags several times before. But this year is a little bit different. This year, we have our own class. I'm no longer in the hot rod class or street rod class, which was anything 1948 and older, including full-blown 8-second, fully caged, like drag cars, bracket cars. That's what I used to have to race against with my flathead. This year, no more. There is a designated flathead and inline six only class for cars 1954 and older. It's not full quarter mile like the old time drags normally is. It's only 1/8 mile, which is, I'm okay with that with this. This car, really most of its get up and go is in the 1/8 mile anyways. And from the 1/8 mile to the quarter mile, I was pretty much just along for the ride. There's a couple things I want to do to the car before we take it there. Where's my checklist here? First thing on the list, headers. This car currently has 34 Ford exhaust manifolds with just 2-inch stainless pipes. Now that I did just when I moved here from to Victoria, where I'm at now. I moved here from Edmonton 8 years ago, and when I brought the car from Alberta to British Columbia, it had to pass an inspection, and open headers obviously won't pass inspection. So I made this exhaust system up to pass inspection, and I kind of liked the way it looked, so I just left it. However, I noticed instantly when I put them on, according to my butt dyno, that it definitely slowed the car down a lot, going from the open headers to this very, very not flowing exhaust system. So I want to put my old headers back on. Now, yes, these headers are made out of flex pipe, and I know a lot of people aren't going to understand why they're a flex pipe or why I did that. And basically, when I was building this car, I was reading a lot of the Don Montgomery like hot rod books. If you're not familiar with the Don Montgomery hot rod books, they're basically like, he was at the dry lakes and the drag races in the 40s when hot rodding kind of took off, and this car I styled to be like a period correct late 40s hot rod. Flex pipe exhaust was one of the most common exhaust systems used, mainly because like back then nobody had welders, nobody had tubing benders and stuff, so this was the easiest way to do it. That's why I built this exhaust. And you know what, if it's good enough for a Duesenberg, it's good enough for an old Model A. So yes, we're gonna put these pipes back on. They definitely got some patina on them. They are almost, actually they're probably 15 years old now, but they work really good. They should go right back on. Aside from that, on the front of the car over here, we've got this fog light way down here. And the fog light, I've never ever bothered hooking it up. I bought it years and years ago at a swap meet, put it on just to see what it would look like. I'm not in love with it. It doesn't do anything. What it does do actually is adds unnecessary weight. Although, not that like, you know, we have a ton of horsepower here, but every little bit counts. So fog lights coming off. I want to take the headlights off. Transmission oil, I haven't checked this season. Diff oil, I haven't checked this season. And as you can see from the cardboard underneath the car, it drips, it leaks. So I usually check that. I mean, it's still dripping, so it's obviously not out of fluid, but we'll make sure it's topped up. Windshield I had on the list. I was going to take the windshield off for just that little bit more wind resistance, but I called Jim Winter, he's the one that's in charge of the flathead class at Mission Raceway, and he said he thinks that I have to leave it on. Mission Raceway is an NHRA track, so this car still has to pass NHRA tech. If, when we get there, I talk to the tech guy and he's cool with popping the windshield off, it's just 2 bolts on each side and the whole windshield frame comes right off. I'd prefer to do that just because roadsters with no headlights and no windshields on a racetrack just looks so cool. Anyways, that's what this video is all about. Let's start with, let's pull this old exhaust system off. Pretty straightforward. Our collector here is actually held in with the same bolts that holds the front of the manifold onto the block. And then we've got just our 2 bolts there. The pipe itself just has an exhaust hanger right here going through one of the factory holes in the frame. And then this whole setup will come off. Got the same situation on the other side. Headers are done, sort of, almost. The other side over there, I need 2 more gaskets. I didn't have any. I ordered some. They'll be here Tuesday. So today's Saturday, so we're leaving Thursday. We got lots of time still. But those headers should flow a little bit better than this exhaust system did. Although this did look nice. I liked how clean it was. But right now, for this particular event, we're all about speed, not cleanliness. Moving on, let's take this fog light off next. So this is an old Appleton fog light that I bought at a swap meet for 25 bucks one year because there was nothing else that I needed. And you gotta buy something when you're at a swap meet. It's really weird to go home empty-handed. Anyways, I bolted it on and I never ever got around to actually hooking it up. So, I don't know, it's been on there almost 10 years now. And like I said, if it doesn't, I'm a form follows function kind of person, so if it doesn't serve a purpose, it doesn't really need to be there. And in this case, although a fog light does have a purpose, it doesn't have a purpose on this car because it's not hooked up and we're going racing in the daylight. Don't need it. Might have to touch the paint up a little bit, but there we go. Appleton Electric Company, Chicago, Illinois, fog light. Is there a number on this? I know some Appleton lights are worth a pile of money. I don't know if this one is or not. Anyways, we'll find a purpose for it eventually, somewhere, on something. We can cross headers off, we can cross fog light off. Windshield is, that's an unknown. Headlights next. I've already undone the wiring from the chassis, so that's taken care of. Just undoing the headlight stands from the frame horns right now. They're just little 5/16 carriage bolts holding those on. I don't know, I can't get a socket on that one. This one's a little awkward. Here we go. Headlight off. Race mode enabled. Yeah, now it looks like a race car. I love it. Oh man, I really want to take the windshield off. So there's a Roadster on the wall over here. That is the picture that I stared at the whole time I was building my Roadster. No headlights, no windshield, and a tonneau cover. Just checking the transmission fluid now. This is just a basically stock 39 Ford transmission. No, I think we're okay. It's not right at the top, but it's only down maybe half an inch or so. I think that's fine. Check the rear end. This is just a stock 40 Ford rear end with 3/7/8 gears. And yeah, we're okay. It's actually, I might top it up. I gotta get second knuckle deep and down to touch it. We'll dump a little bit in. Perfect. Other than those 2 exhaust gaskets that I need, everything on the list is done now. But there is something that I totally forgot about that did not make it on the list. And that is when I drove this car. Last time I drove this car, I went to Carl Fisher's place, Make It Custom, to help Elio build his Roadster. And on the way back, my steering column cracked and broke. And only half of this is still holding it on, which has happened before when I made this. I think this is made out of like 12 gauge. It's a little bit too light. And about every, I don't know, 7 years or so, I got to weld that back up. So probably not going to reinforce it. Just keep every 7 years welded up because it's fun. If you're wondering what this design is all about, before I put this 46 Monarch steering wheel in this car, I used to have that 39 Ford Deluxe steering wheel in. So I built this column drop to kind of look like the banjo in the banjo wheel. And this is just painted silver. The plan was to like originally chrome it, but I never had money to chrome it when I first built this car, and I've still never got around to chroming it 15 years later. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. Okay, let's pull this apart and weld that back up. Well, there's the problem right there. That needs to get welded back onto there. I think this is even smaller than 12 gauge. I think this is closer to 18 gauge, maybe 16 gauge. There's where it broke 7 years ago. So it just broke right next to that. We'll weld it back together and go for another 7 years. There we go. Is it solid now? Yeah, that's not going anywhere. Perfect. Is it good? So just for fun, I did check in the rule book, and it does say that a windscreen is mandatory in place of a windshield. Basically what it means is I can take this windshield off, but if I take the windshield off, I need to have some sort of windscreen minimum 5 inches high to deflect any fluids or debris or whatever over my head. And you know what? Now that I read that, I do remember my old dragster. I don't know if you can see it super clear in this picture on the wall here, but you see that right there? That was like a little 5-inch polished aluminum band, basically, that went above the top of the cowl to act as a windscreen. So I guess I need to keep my windshield on. I don't know, maybe if I'm feeling like when we get there, maybe we'll just quickly pop it off and go through tech and see what they say. You know, maybe they'll be in the spirit of early hot rods. I think the last thing to do before we call this done and ready to go is we're going to pop the hubcaps and trim rings off, because they're not allowed on an NHRA track, and to be honest, it looks pretty tough without hubcaps and trim rings on. All right, well, that's it for Roadster prep for the racetrack. We got a little bit of stuff to do to the Suburban, because we're going to be camping in the Suburban when we go over there. So we just got to get that ready and put those 2 gaskets in when they come in a couple days. And Thursday, we're hitting the road. Well, it's Wednesday. We're just loading up to get ready to leave tomorrow morning. Just did some maintenance on the Suburban. Maintenance is in... Last weekend, the air conditioning kind of stopped blowing cold. So I just put one of these in, which I know some people really hate these. I've never used one before. I'm totally brand new to it. But the air conditioning, when I bought the Suburban, did not work. I got it charged up. My buddy charged it up at his shop, and it lasted about 2 months. So I figure we're just coming into August now. If I dump one of these in and it lasts another 2 months, you know, that'll get us through the summer, which is good enough for me. And this was cheaper than getting it charged up at a shop again. It's got a stop leak, which I don't know if that'll work or not, but we'll find out. We'll try it. What's the worst that can happen, right? So Suburban's ready to go. It's hooked onto the trailer here. I don't know if the trailer brakes are working, so I'm gonna look into that in a bit. We're gonna pull this up over to the shop, because we also have to deal with this. This is the downside of when your race trailer only gets used 2 weekends of the year, is the other 50 weekends of the year it is used for storage. We've got brown sugar hood, brown sugar bumpers, brown sugar mangled grill, brown sugar new grill, Gordy's 57 Dodge, all his front sheet metal, painted sheet metal is in here. We've got all the body worked doors for brown sugar are stored in here. We've got my Vespa is in here. Actually, it's an Allstate for you Vespa nerds. And then over here in the back, we got my rotisserie, and we've got 2 carts here with engines and transmissions on them. It sounds a lot worse than it is. Oh, and I also forgot, Shannon's got her new kitchen, new to her kitchen in here. Behind all this stuff is an entire vintage metal and enamel metal and enamel kitchen that she got off Marketplace for $100 a couple months ago. So we got to unload all that stuff. The bikes, the wagon, that stuff, most of this stuff up here can stay, because that's all like trailer race car stuff. So it's not too bad. that wasn't so bad. An hour and a half later, we're empty, minus the stuff that's gonna stay. Vespa's gonna go back in. That's my pit bike. I just wanted to give it a little wash because it was covered in grime. So just gonna load everything up now. All right, we're all loaded up. Just went for a little test drive around the block. The air conditioning is blowing ice cold, which I'm super happy with. The Suburban pulls this trailer no problem at all. I'm super happy with it, and the trailer brakes are working. I guess I just tested them like going like a foot, and I never noticed anything, so I assumed they didn't work, but I actually like went for a drive, and when you step on the brakes, you can feel the trailer like lug down. So everything's working fine. All the lights even work. It's perfect. All right, tomorrow we're gonna hit the highway to Mission Raceway. We got about a 4-hour trek. I'm not gonna film any of it because it's not that exciting in a late model Suburban compared to Brown Sugar. Man, I really miss Brown Sugar. Did you guys notice that Brown Sugar's in the shop again? Yeah, it's in the shop finally. So we're gonna start on that. Stay tuned next week for the continuation of this video when we get to Mission Raceway and race at the old-time drags in the all-new flathead class. Make sure to subscribe and hit notifications so that when that video comes out, you know all about it. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to check out the website, lgspeedcustom.com, and I'll check you guys on the next video.